Taro's feet sunk into the thick mud as he approached the castle under a gray, ash-filled sky. Smoke curled from distant burning villages, carrying the acrid stench of charred timber and dying livestock. His kimono, patched and soaked from the morning dew, clung to his gaunt frame, and his hands were calloused from weeks of labor with barely enough food to keep him alive. Anxiety pressed on him more heavily than his pack or armor. He stumbled along the trench-lined path, passing peasants with hollow eyes, clutching whatever scraps they could salvage. The castle gate rose above him, its banners shredded and flapping weakly in the wind. Guards stationed atop the walls scanned the horizon, spears in hand, shoulders tense. The courtyard was a chaotic mix of soldiers washing grimy faces in shallow basins, discarded shoes in empty bowls. Taro's arrival was quiet, unnoticed, as the weight of anticipation and fear pressed in from all sides. Inside the barracks, the stench of sweat, dirt, and stagnant water mingled. Soldiers chewed meager portions of rice and dried fish, moving sluggishly. Every body was etched with exhaustion. Every glance bore the anxiety of the unknown. Taro sank to a straw mat, trying to push back thoughts of the enemy siege towers growing closer by the day. Outside, sentries hunched atop the walls, eyes scanning for signs of attack, as overcast skies and smoke lent the castle an oppressive gray pallor. Water from the muddy well was dark and teeming with sediment. Taro drew it up carefully, aware of a dying horse nearby, its legs splayed awkwardly in the muck. Smoke and distant flames from surrounding villages painted the landscape in ominous stripes, and the cries of children and women carrying possessions punctuated the tension. The courtyard became a place of ritualized labor, sharpening weapons, sweeping straw, hauling stones, reinforcing walls. The slightest misstep could invite disaster, yet every soldier moved mechanically, body tense, face hollow. Rain began, cold and relentless. Mud thickened underfoot, mixing with straw and blood from past skirmishes. Taro lifted buckets of boiling water to pour on climbing ladders, dragging the weight of both expectation and exhaustion. The first clash of the enemy brought the smell of smoke, blood, and damp stone. A comrade collapsed beside him, eyes wide and unseeing. Arrows struck near him, and the hot iron of siege weapons thudded against the walls. He flinched instinctively, muscles stiff, breathing shallow. Inside, medics worked with limited supplies, wrapping wounds that would fester if infection took hold. Taro's hands shook slightly as he helped drag the wounded to shelter. Nights brought little rest. Torches flickered, rats scuttled through abandoned food stores, and cold drafts whispered through cracks in the walls. Hunger gnawed at every soldier, fatigue bent their spines, and the weight of fear kept them rigid, eyes darting at every shadow. The siege dragged on. Taro hauled sandbags in the rain, patched walls, and helped carry wounded horses from burning stables. The enemy's trebuchets smashed stones into the stone walls, shaking his body with each impact. Small victories came in the form of retreating soldiers or temporary fire breaks, but the castle itself seemed to crumble under exhaustion and decay. By night, survivors huddled silently, sharing a few grains of rice, cleaning wounds and noting their survival in crude marks on wooden beams. Dawn after dawn blurred together. Taro walked past smoldering wreckage, steeling himself against the sight of dead comrades and abandoned equipment. Mist rose over the valley beyond, hiding the devastation below. Smoke from distant villages twisted into the gray morning light. He carried the weight of hunger, fear, and the psychic toll of war in every step. The final morning brought quiet. Enemy torches no longer glowed in the valley. Taro climbed the battered battlements alone, surveying a ruined world of burned farms, splintered walls, and silent streets. The wind tugged at his damp, threadbare kimono. The smell of smoke lingered. He stood motionless, taking in the devastation, aware of the thin thread between survival and death, haunted by the lives lost and the destruction that would linger long after the siege ended. The castle survived, but every soul inside bore the scars of the months-long struggle. Taro's body was thin, his hands raw, his heart heavy with exhaustion. Still, he remained, staring at the valley, waiting for the next day to arrive.